TFN Film Study is presented by PAM Health, the official rehabilitation partner of Penn State Football. PAM Health provides elite-level inpatient and outpatient physical care at over 70 hospitals across the country. Learn more at pamhealth.com.
Welcome into another TFN Film Study brought to you by PAM Health. So I think there was a lot of storylines coming out of the Pinstripe Bowl against Clemson. Terry Smith, Quentin Martin Jr., which players are going to leave, which players are going to stay. And one of the storylines that really flew under the radar was Yvan Kemajou going against future first-round draft pick Blake Miller, who went 17th overall to the Detroit Lions. It was one hell of a test for a true freshman defensive end that is thought to be part of the future of this front four for Penn State. So today we're going to dive into that tape and show you how did he fare against a first-round draft pick, and also what did he learn? What is he taking away from that game? And I'll be honest, if you ask Yvan Kemajou a couple years down the road when he is done with his college football career, who's the best offensive tackle you ever went against? Now, we don't know who he's going to go against in the future fully, but I would say his answer very well might be Blake Miller, because that's how good this guy is. And really just that test that early on in your career, I think is going to help sculpt him and shape him to an even better defensive end. So if you guys are enjoying all of this content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Penn State content you will not get anywhere else. But without further ado, let's roll the tape. All right, we're going to start out in the fourth quarter, Yvan Kemajou against Blake Miller, and it felt like as the game went on, he started to figure out Miller a little bit more and what will work to really try to defeat what he does. Now, right here, you're in this wide nine, so we know we're going to get a full head of steam built up, and you're going to see his favorite move is the jump off the 1 foot, double hand swipe, and then when he doesn't land it, he turns it into kind of a dip and rip move, and I like him naturally doing that. Now, part of this is Miller's so good. So many guys drop this foot and will allow you to kind of bend that edge in. Miller does such a good job widening this upfield and then gets clipped by his guy. And I will say, when you're at this point, like, he's still in good position, but he just completely yanks him down. They're not going to probably call holding because he was in good position, but you could argue that Kemajou should have drew a holding penalty right here. But if I'm coaching Kemajou right here, what I'm telling him is when we get to this point and you see he wants to throw these double hand swipe, what you're going to see so much from Miller is this hand, and really both hands, are going to drop, go outside, and he does what I call a circle punch. When we get to this point, put your two hands into that 7 and 8 on his chest plate, put your helmet right up under his chin strap, and bull rush this dude straight back into the quarterback. That's the one thing that, like, yes, I like this. I like the fact he converted this into a rip move, and it's still an overall good rep. But that's the next step for him, is identifying what is the offensive tackle giving me and how can I take advantage. And Miller was a big-time circle puncher where he comes outside with his hands. That means I need to go power because his feet are so good and his hands are good, but they just don't really punch. And that's where I would have loved to see him take more advantage of this. So here we go. Wide nine yet again, and you're going to get the same exact move. Double hand swipe into a rip move. Denai Dennis Seton gets home for a sack right here. But the same thing, like, he gets upfield for 1 or 2 steps, and then we turn this and go basically straight at him. Like, honestly, I don't really want this little hezzy outside. I don't want it this far away, because when you're this far away, that doesn't really do much to the offensive tackle. Actually, what that does is it makes it clear to Blake Miller, oh, bet he went in and then out this far away. He's declaring that he's going to run that edge. So you see him kind of drop that foot and just say, bet, I'm just going to straight up run you up the field. And once again, doesn't get a good punch, but because Kemajou really declared what he was doing too early, it made it really easy for Miller to be able to see that. So yet again, I would see this right here. You see how this right hand for Miller is going to drop down and come out, and now his hips are facing the sideline right here. This, and you see where his hands are. Forget the double swipe. 2 hands into the chest, and let's bull rush this guy, and let's see what type of anchor he has. But once again, like, this is clearly his move. The double hand swipe to the dip and rip. It's a good move. This is, yet again, the best offensive tackle he's going to face in a 2-year span. He's not going to face anybody as good as Miller, even this coming season. So it's not bad, but that's the next step for him. And then right here, you get a little twist, gets home, and forces an incompletion on a play that really should have been an easy completion. So you're just going to run a little TE stunt, and he does a good job getting into Miller, then getting around this thing. Miller gets picked off just like it was drawn up. Kemajou gets some good bend going in and gets right in Klubnik's face. And like I said, that's an easy completion, but hits the dirt because of Keamjou getting home. And he does a really good job just like getting into this. A lot of young guys on these stunts, they'll go flat down the line because they know they're looping. So he does a good job kind of getting into it and really threatening Blake Miller into him and upfield. So that's what gets him picked off. And then once he gets picked off, you see some really good like shin angles, some great bend. We got a pole directly in our way, but you see him leap. I like that. Like you see the athleticism in his game where he can get a little bendy. He can be dynamic when he gets home on the quarterback. And then let's talk about this right here. When he was close, there was a lot of times that Blake Miller was just straight up jump setting him, meaning that he was just getting on top of him. So, ooh, nice tackle right there. Okay, young man. This is just like a straight up jump set. So he takes one little kick, and then he basically goes and attacks him. And yet again, you see this. You get the really wide circle punches, and Kemajou, like, he just gets covered up. And sometimes when you just get jump set like this, it is really hard, especially when the tackle has good feet and long arms and he's a big body. It is really difficult to deal with. But I would have been telling him all day, when you see this, I want two hands into his chest plate and let's bull rush this thing. But does a fairly good job trying to get the hands off him. I like kind of throws him, but you get the guard in the slide right here to come and hit him. So, I mean, a good battle, but I think it's clear. The biggest thing he needs to add to his game is power moves because he generally wants to get to finesse as much as possible. And really watching this tape, it's clear to me whenever he does get jump set, he's not all the way confident. So when you're an edge rusher, you have a plan. Like Keamjou has a plan in his head right now that he wants to. Clearly, he is going to try to go club rip right here. And he just doesn't really do it because the offensive tackle is messing with his rhythm as a pass rusher, where he thinks he's going to have a lot more time. He thinks he's going to have 2 to 3 steps, but Miller just gets on top of him so quickly that you see kind of tries to trigger into a pass rush move, but it's just kind of like a panic, and he just kind of puts both hands into him and just kind of, nothing really happens. It gets locked up. Now, it's a very quick pass. But this is something that I continue to notice with Keamjou is that he can't kind of come up with a new plan throughout the rush. That's the next step for him. Once again, this is really impressive that he had a fairly decent day against a first-round draft pick, but it's a lesson learned that I need you to be able to go to the sideline and see, okay, this guy's jump setting me. Instead of keep trying to work the same double hand swipe into a rip move right here, and it's working every single time, let's take this to the next level and figure out, okay, what combats a jump set? It's a counter inside move. And I didn't see very much at all of him working inside moves. So when we get to this point, let's go double hand swipe if you like it that much, but let's go double hand swipe and a rip inside. Because what happens is when you get a jump set, what the offensive tackle is doing is he is widening you. He is wide. So a lot of tackles, you kind of go back on this angle right here. When he jumps, look at him just get straight out. What's that doing is that's really widening the rush, and it's creating where he was right here. It's going to widen the meet point, the whole contact point all the way out here instead of back here. So you should use that and say, hey, let's get back inside. But it seems like really all his really in Kemajou's tool belt is a double hand swipe and a rip move. So that's the next level. It's like I said, not easy to go against someone this good, this technical. But I think he's got more in his bag. You can tell how close he is. Once again, it's a young dude. But watch right here. When he gets into this, I would love if right here, that right hand, I don't really know exactly what he's doing with it. I don't think he knows what he wants to do with it. Look where Miller's hands are. That right hand should be a long arm instantly into the 7 and 8 on his front chest plate, and let's lean into it. But he kind of just says, hey, I want to get into this kind of rip move. Once again, he's big on like the jump swipe and then turn it into a rip. So I think if we can get to the next level for him and develop his tool belt a little bit more as a pass rusher and understanding what is the tackle giving me and what can I do to attack it right here. I see low hands. Low hands equals a power move just about every single time for me as an edge rusher.
FTV Film Study is presented by PAM Health, the official rehabilitation partner of Penn State Football. PAM Health provides elite-level inpatient and outpatient physical rehabilitation at over 70 hospitals across the country. We strive to make a meaningful impact in the lives of our patients by facilitating extraordinary outcomes and quality results in a compassionate and caring environment. Learn more at pamhealth.com.
And then this last one right here, get upfield. And you saw it again. He almost wanted to do it, and then Miller ends up clamping him up right here. Great play, Darius Dixon, all-pro, all-everything cornerback coming this year. Once again, you see this. I would love if this thing was a long arm right here. When you jab off of this, that should be straight into his chest, and we're good because the hands come low, the feet are together. We could be putting this guy on his lap of Cade Klubnik right here, but just kind of tries to bend it outside and then gets tossed out of the club. So overall, as a pass rusher, we have a lot to improve upon, but this is also a first-round draft pick, and you can tell this is a great test for him and something that he can look back upon and say, hey, I need to build on this. And once again, he's not going to face anybody this good for the next 2 years. And then let's talk about the run game, because I think that's where Kemajou's best at, really, and that's part of the reason he was playing a lot over Chaz Coleman is because he could play the run really well. So we're going to run outside zone right here, and his goal is, hey, I want to dent this thing, and I want to force everything back inside to where my reinforcements are. So he does a really good job playing this outside, keeps this right arm in on Blake Miller, and then as soon as the running back cuts it up, I really like this too. Like, we're completely boxing in and then throws Miller upfield and then is trying to get back in over the top. So nothing, he doesn't technically do anything on this play, but he does a lot. He completely forced this all back inside. There's no option for the running back to get outside because of how he holds that edge. And then, like I said, the fight to try to get back in the play if he were to break some tackles. That's a very, very solid job in the run game right there. And then you want to leave a tight end on him? Here we go. Being physical. That's denting a tight end back into the running back, shedding him, and then getting in on a TFL on the running back. That's the physicality, and when he's playing tackles that aren't nearly as good as Miller, he's going to do this to offensive tackles and just bully them. Like, you see the acceleration into the tight end, those shin angles, he's driving his feet, almost puts him straight into the running back, and then is able to get off and make a tackle right here. So good job in the run game right there. And then this last one, I like this. I just thought it showed athleticism. Klubnik ends up pulling this because everything kind of falls down. But I just like this because Miller's trying to kind of lean back on him, and he sees that hand, and he instantly swipes and goes into a swim move. Probably his best pass rush move of the day was in the run game, but gets in and on a what would have been TFL, but Klubnik has it as a keeper. But overall, like, you see an immense amount of talent on this kid. I think he's going to be a super, super good defensive end, especially in the run game. But his next step as a pass rusher is to take what he learned from playing against a first-round draft pick as a very young guy and say, hey, how can I learn how to attack what offensive tackles give me more? But it's a big year ahead for number 99.